Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on in to the PSP Podcast, featuring your friendly host, Percussive 173. Let's freaking go! I downed him! Oh, I got it! 508 meters! I'm pushing everything right now. Against the Lockman. Dude, this Lockman is so good! Oh my god, I'm disgusting! So what do you think about that play, huh? What were your thoughts?
Not very smart, man. Not very smart, man.
It happens, man. Hey, well, come back. We'll try it again, okay?
Very smart, man.
It happens. Shit. I guess I'm just gonna shit on him. He's dead. Did I just ace? I just ace. Let's go.
Just take a funky jazz with him.
Easy triple. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to have you be a part of the PSP Podcast. And I'm your friendly host, Percussive 173, and let's have a freaking party. Ladies and gentlemen, what are we freaking doing? My name is Percussive 173, and welcome back to another episode of the PSP Podcast, where Perk spreads positivity, because I'm your host, Percussive 173, and you guys already know that every single time we do one of these podcasts, we vibe out and we share some laughs, and honestly, like, we bring in some incredible creators that just inspire us on a day-to-day basis. And today we have a really special guest, and I am more than honored to bring on DarkLadyCosplay to hang out with us. Not only is she an amazingly talented cosplayer who brings characters to life with just pure creativity, but she's also a gamer at heart. She plays Warcraft, and honestly, that's one of the games that, like, I've never actually been able to get into, but when I was a kid, I used to have so much fun with that type of stuff. So, hi, Dark Lady. How are you? Welcome on in. I'm really glad to have you on. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? What got you into cosplay? And, like, how long have you been in the content industry?
A cosplayer since I was 10 years old. I really liked anime as a kid. And for my 10th birthday, my parents brought me to an anime convention and got me like a Sailor Uranus costume. And I ran around and I fell in love with cosplay. And then nearly 19 years later, here we are.
Anime is so awesome.
Yeah. And like over the past few years, I've kind of transitioned to more like gaming stuff, and I don't really have time for anime anymore. But now I just like predominantly focus on World of Warcraft, like Blizzard games and like video games and stuff, because that's where more of my passions have been. And I've been like a, I don't know, professional content creator. I don't even know what you would call me.
I'm a lady on the internet.
I'm doing that for a hot minute. I don't know.
No, you're. It's amazing to kind of see like what you've been doing and like the content you've been creating, and like not only that, like the cosplays that you've been creating. Like I see you at conventions, I see like your Twitter posts, and like my goodness, they're phenomenal. And like for somebody who doesn't understand anything about cosplay, like I'm very excited for this podcast, because I know me and a bunch of other creators who might be interested would love to get some tips and tricks of the trade on like how you kind of do things in the cosplay field.
Yeah, I'd love to go into that, especially because like I've done a little bit of everything, right? So I've made some costumes, I've bought some costumes, I have my friends' old costumes, I've commissioned costumes, I like craft all kinds of things, but also I wear things. Like there's a whole smorgasbord of I do a little bit of everything when it comes to cosplay and like cosplay whatever. You guys can see some of my own crafting stuff, but like there's a whole smorgasbord of things you can do to get into cosplay that don't necessarily have to like be as crazy, but like there's tons of different avenues people can pick, right, to get into it.
So if for somebody, because this is a podcast that's geared towards newer creators who don't necessarily know the direction they want to go, if somebody wanted to get into cosplay, what's your recommendation to them? What would be your advice?
I think first pick a character that you really, really love or inspired by, you hyperfixate on. And then think about like, do you want to do a closet cosplay? Do you want to just wear a wig and like some stylized clothing? Is it a character that's accessible on the internet and you don't know crafting at this point or don't have any interest in crafting? Because that's also valid. Do you want to go online and buy a costume? Do you want to invest in this as like a bigger character? Do you want to invest in commissioning somebody because you don't have the skill set yet or you just don't have the time or whatever? Or is this a character that you want to kind of dive headfirst in and there's enough resources for you to do like your own crafting and kind of picking out where you want to start with that introduction of how much do you want to experiment and commit with your first one, right? In this character. Because some people will dive headfirst in, right? And that's what, and or there's some people who are like, I just want to know what it feels like to wear, Naruto to a convention and see if I like it. It's kind of picking out that first part and then like exploring that avenue of creativity, right?
And like that's I would definitely tend to agree because like when you're going into like any type of content or something that is creative and stuff like that, you have to like kind of just get yourself a base idea of how you want things to go and just let it evolve like over time. And I think that's just really amazing and really cool. So like with the convention coming up in Atlanta being on Halloween, how hard are you gonna go in on this one?
Okay, so I'm gonna have one big build for Saturday, which is like the cosplay contest. I want to do Master Sylvanas, which is like a really elaborate dream cosplay I've always wanted to do. Backstory, I had actually many, many years ago commissioned somebody to make that armor for me because I didn't have the skill set or time to do it back in the day. Didn't work out. So that costume's always been on the back burner for me, and now that I've like leveled up on so many skills and whatnot, it's like my dream build that I finally feel comfortable enough to do. And then the other days are like, I think we're doing like K-pop Demon Hunters one day with my friends and I, and then maybe like Overwatch less Seraphim. So like easy stuff on the bumper days and like the big days. That's Saturday. Because usually I do go like a little crazy. But this time I kind of want to just vibe with my friends and enjoy, except for one day where it's like the bigger day.
And like you say easy, but like I listen to stuff like that and I'm like I'm really really curious like how it's gonna end up because like the finished product is something that's really cool. So what I know a lot of people that go into cosplay, they don't know some of the difficulties behind it. Like they'll go in and they'll just like start with like just like a base product and then they want to build their own thing. So you want to talk about like one of your most difficult builds like for cosplay. What are some of the challenges that you face? What's some of the income look like? What is something you do to make it flash?
So sewing is like the scary thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Armor came a little more natural to me when I started experimenting and learning, and it's a much easier process for me to like dissect and be able to map out and then pattern and then create. Sewing is kind of like that thing that scares me. Like making Sally Whitemane was probably the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life because she's got complicated like panels of core. It was just a whole thing that I actually put off for about 3 years, of in which I would like talk about it a little bit and then nothing would happen. And then my friend Jessie 3D printed me her staff, and I was like, yeah, this is the time. And I like finished the staff, and I put like all the paint. I'm like, yeah, Whitemane. And then another year went by, and then
Ooh,
I finally
3D
built.
printing though.
Yeah, that is something I have a 3D printer.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. My resin printer and I fight. It's generally other people I have to rely on for 3D printing because like that is a whole other skill set that I do not. Maybe one day.
3D printing is not something I know anything about. Like if I have any like 3D printing tasks, I like message one of my friends who's like just like a straight guru with that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like I mean eventually I've been going on a weight loss kick. So once I actually lose that weight, I do want to start going in and doing some cosplays. Like there are some anime characters that I would love to do. I would love to be Choji, not gonna lie, from like Naruto. But like my favorite anime is Bleach by a long shot. And
Is
I would
it?
absolutely I would love to be like Kenpachi Saraki or go around as like Ichigo, you know. It would just be really cool to be able to put something like that together. But with my beard, that's where things might get a little challenging because I don't know how to cover that up yet or maybe like interplay that into that?
The cool thing about cosplay is, like, if you look at Baby No Money, he incorporates his
Uh-huh.
beard into every single character. Like, there's ways to do that. You can bend these characters to your own will and kind of do it your own way if you don't wanna, like, shave or whatever. It's totally one of those things you can play with.
And that's something I'm definitely like looking into more. Because like you're right, BB No Money is awesome. I see his TikToks, I see what he did with Iron Mouse and like the stuff like that. It's
Mhm.
just so cool to watch. And like the world of content is such an amazing place, and like so many people just kind of lose their direction and they don't really know how to get started. Um, in regards to like content, because I know you stream as well. Do you have any
Mhm.
advice for creators that maybe want to go into streaming or want to go into gaming, or like what's your advice like to go find their own content?
Ah,
I know it's a difficult question.
just get live. Like, I think that's, like, the I'm very lucky that I've always had people in my life that I've like experimented with an idea of something and they like would push me off the deep end and be like, "Oh, do it. All right,
Hmm.
you're signed up, do it." You know, I've been very lucky to have friends that like if I even wanted to experiment in some form of content creation, they've always been supportive. Like I've thought about doing vlogging and like they're very supportive of it. They're like, "Yeah, go to Disney and vlog. Let's see if you like it." Or streaming. Do you like streaming? My friends are always there. You know, in any aspect, I was very lucky in that way. But I think too, it's like there's so many different forms of content creation. It's finding
Yes,
which one
there
you like
is.
and not being afraid to like start. You know, because it's going to be a growth. It's not you're not gonna go out of the woodwork and be Markiplier. You know, it takes this layer of growth that is very scary because you want to be successful right out the door. Everybody does. Like I think it would be a disservice to say, you know, nobody except they did like people want to be successful. That's not like a so it's tempering your expectations of this is going to be a growth process. You know, and any growth should be celebrated. No matter how small you believe it is a big deal because you made the first step to begin with.
I couldn't agree more because honestly, I feel like when it comes to like content and like I've had people on this podcast who've had multi-million views. I've had people who's had 10 views. Some of the most incredible things like pieces of information and advice that I've had have come from people with 10 views, not discounting the people with a million views either. But like it's it's about having fun and being passionate about something and doing something to display your passion. And like content is such an amazing field because like you don't have to be great at everything. You don't have to be the next Nick Merckx. You don't have to be
Mhm.
like the best Call of Duty player to ever play the game or the best VTuber. What you need to be is yourself. And people forget
Mhm.
that a lot of content is about having fun. And like when you do your cosplays, like we see like your personality just put into that, and it's such a cool thing. So
Yeah.
going back to like the process and like the cosplay side of things, do you prefer
Mhm.
cosplays from scratch, or do you like prefer kind of buying and then adding your own twist to existing characters? What's your go-to
I
there?
think in the beginning, I
Hmm.
liked more of, like, having the foundation and adding to it, but as I've grown my own skill set and, like, seen my friends' skill sets and invested in, like, other people building things for me, I started to find a lot of, like, confidence and joy in building it myself, and, like, these days, it will be me, you know? And if I need a prop or whatever, it's either asking my friend to 3D print or whatever. But I think all those things have, like, fun aspects to them. Um, yeah. I think it's, like cosplay's a adventure and journey into finding what pieces bring you joy. Like some people don't like the crafting at all. They like to put the costume on and have fun. And some people like to role play. Some people just like the experience of like wearing costumes. Some people they only like the crafting aspect and are like, all right, I made it. I really don't want to wear it. I'm just gonna sell it to somebody. Like there's these different avenues of artistry that come into it that I think is really cool to like experiment with. For me, I was a makeup artist for MAC Cosmetics for a few years, and like I'm trained in makeup, so for me, makeup was like the fun part of cosplay for a little while. Like one thing I don't like is styling wigs. If I need an elaborate wig, I'm gonna commission someone because I don't. It's not for me, and that's through me
I,
learning and experimenting and making my own wigs and being like, I don't. This isn't fun, and finding what parts I do think are fun. Like I think airbrushing is so much fun. I love airbrushing my costumes. The sewing aspect, I'm suffering, but like there are certain aspects you learn that are like your favorite. So I think each thing has its own place, right?
And for someone like me who's like super handy, like I feel like if I do decide to go into cosplay, like the sewing aspect would be really cool. I love like
Mm-hmm.
making things myself and like kind of putting things together into DIY stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
it's time consuming. Like for example, I just built my own PC, right? And like I just like doing things myself, like going through the journey. Like the journey is one of the
Mm-hmm.
best parts. And like um it's the same thing that I say when people are going into the world of content and like going to try to like create content on YouTube or like just like short form. It's just enjoy the journey, love the process,
Mm-hmm.
and find something that really helps you be like passionate and like inspired. Because in a world of content, and even in this can delve right into cosplay, you gotta find what you love and you gotta showcase your passion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think too, when it comes to cosplay, cosplay has so many different. There's 3D printing, there's wig making, there's makeup, there's foam smithing, there's sewing, there's resin casting, there's all these different elements, and it's learning to be okay if you don't master 8 bajillion different things. That's completely unrealistic too for a human being. There are some people that can do anything, and that's incredible. But also be okay with if one of these aspects isn't for you, that's okay. Because I think that in cosplay, there is sometimes this expectation that you have to be good at everything and you have to do everything. And that's just, it doesn't have to be that way. So
Even
it's,
going back into the world of content, setting unrealistic expectations to yourself, and like you
mm-hmm,
can't do that. Like in it goes into pretty much everything. Like me, I'm a content creator. I love creating
mm-hmm,
content. I love doing that. I am I great at streaming? No, but what I'm great at is like talking and yapping and like just having
mm-hmm,
fun and like putting like this style of podcast on and like creating different styles of content out of that. Like I people forget that in regards to like streaming, just like in cosplay, like for
mm-hmm,
streaming, I'm a one man show. I'm my own audio
mm-hmm,
technician. I'm my own visual technician. I'm my own behind the scenes software application technician. Um, and my like we when people go into content, and you definitely see this as a streamer, it's like what things can you do to make chat more interactive, or what things can you do to make like your content more enjoyable to watch. So what type of things do you do that really spark the life in your cosplay and make your cosplays more fun to be around and create and look at?
I think I just really, really like Blizzard games. And you can
Mm-hmm.
tell when you approach me in any of those characters, I'm here to talk to you about literally anything and everything. If you want to talk about World of Warcraft and you played 10 years ago, I'm really excited to talk to you. I got to wear Whitemane recently to a convention, and Whitemane is like the OG everybody's video game waifu. And a bunch of people
W.
were just really excited to be like, "Yeah, you were my childhood crush when I used to play World of Warcraft." And it's like that thing we can like laugh about and be like, "Yeah, White Man was like, she's like the gal," or somebody I'm wearing Sylvanas or whatever. People will just come up and want to talk to you about this game that they really enjoy. And I think when people see how passionate I am about that, it creates this really fun interaction. And then if I'm working an event, I'm literally being usually Sylvanas, so it's like fun to play her up and like be like
And like play her
there's
like
all kinds of
character too, right?
yeah,
Mm-hmm. So
all kinds of fun stuff like
on on the flip side of things, I know you mentioned like fan interaction or like audience interaction. Do you have some negative fan interactions that you want to talk about, or that you might want to like warn people about in regards to cosplay or stuff like that?
people will forget that you are a human being. While it's really cool that people will interact with you like you're the character, at the end of the day, I'm not Sylvanas and I didn't commit war crimes. I'm not her, and people will say the most vile things to you. I had somebody like graphically depict how they would execute me, and I was like, I'm not actually Sylvanas. Do I get to do a lot of cool stuff as her? Yeah, I'm not actually. Um, and like I was at a convention and somebody completely unprompted comes up to me and Jaina Palmer and they're like, "Yeah, I've wanted to kill you for years." And I'm like,
Ooh.
excuse me? And they're like, "Yeah, I hate Jaina." I'm like, that's a really weird way to start an interaction.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
I'm
definitely
just
like up there.
I've gotten some crazy things over the years, and people are very passionate about telling me crazy, and I'm like, "I'm Kira at the end of the day." I understand that me especially, I play up these things because it's fun and silly and haha, and we all have a good time and then go home, but,
Yeah,
crazy.
there's
So that is something
there's a
too.
limit.
Yeah, and people just forget that there's this wall between things, I am not actually this person that doesn't actually exist, and people forget that and say some crazy things to you. So be on the just be prepared.
I think that kind of goes in conventions in general too, because like even as like a content creator going to conventions or like a gamer, and like I'll go to like a con and people are like, dude, I can't believe you play COD. That game sucks. That game's awful.
Mhm,
Or it's like, why don't you try playing this game? Why don't you try doing this? And not in like the fun way, because like I have amazing interactions at conventions. Like I
mhm.
usually like when I talk to people, I meet people and they're amazing. Like I'm a hyperactive scatterbrain person, as you probably saw in the pre screen. But like it's like I'm literally sitting here like putting things together. She's like, but it's funny to me because like that's just who I am. That's my personality, and I'm gonna be the same person on camera that I'm gonna be like elsewhere. But like when it comes to like convention interactions and stuff like that, like I feel like people forget that we're human beings at the art.
Mhm,
Like I'm Evan. That's who I am. I might be percussive
mhm,
173, but my name is Evan, and like I know you guys know
mhm,
that, but like we're all human beings and we do our stuff like every single day, and like we just want to be like awesome, kind, polite, not just for you guys because it's not really like a face, but like we want to show you guys the best that we possibly can in all points that we can do
mhm,
it, you know?
mhm.
So
It's so
going,
it's so
oh, go ahead.
interesting too, sorry.
No, you're totally
When it
fine.
comes I have had some really strange interactions over my life. Even just like not cosplay, but just I really love Blizzard games, and just unprompted, people will come up to me and be like, "I hate that game." I'm like, "Why do you want to start this interaction like that? This sucks,
I,
man. Like, this is already. I'm sorry about what is ever going on with you, and I hope you figure it out and you find happiness because this is a really awful interaction." I wish you would come up to me and talk to me about something you're passionate about so you feel good. Like this is making both of
exactly.
us feel bad. Like I
It's and you see that definitely like in fan conventions. You also see that like just in like day to day. So my what I want to know is somebody who doesn't really know much about cosplay. Is there like
Mhm.
a cosplay network? Is there like cosplay events that like you would recommend people go to just outside of straight conventions that people can go to meet other cosplayers and just network? Or is that the
I
conventions?
didn't I didn't start networking at a convention until I went to DreamHack. That was like the
Oh, no
first ever time
way.
I was like, networking's a thing. Because I guess like at other conventions, like predominantly anime conventions, and maybe this is just my own mistake of like
Hmm.
the thought process of networking has never occurred to me. Not even once. There's probably things about it I don't know. I'm here for a good time, and networking felt weird to me for a very long time. I think too, because like when I have reached out to companies, they're like, "You're a cosplayer though." And I'm like, "You have an untapped market and you're showing why you have an untapped market." Razer was kind of the first big company that was like, "Yeah, you're a cosplayer. You want stuff? You wanna do some unboxings?" And I was like, "Yeah. Yeah, I do. Actually, that would be really cool." There is this weird I don't think some companies have experimented with cosplay in a way. So, like, I never thought to network and do things because it's like this weird ecosphere. And I
Gotcha.
kept getting rejected when I did reach out because I was a cosplayer. So it's like DreamHack was kind of like the first time that people looked at me not just as a cosplayer but a content creator, and I got treated as a content creator. And it was kind of
Well,
the first
you
time I
are
was like,
creating
oh,
content, but it's visual
mhm,
content and it's physical
mhm,
content. And it's so cool because I say this consistently in every single one of my podcasts. Content exists in so many different forms. Like you
mhm,
could make a short form video, you could be a gamer, you can be an IRL person like going out like to places and showcasing like your lifestyle. You can make
mhm,
artwork, You could do graphic design. Like, people forget that's all content, and anything that is
Mhm.
consumable is content. And you're
Mhm.
creating something visually consumable, like, and physically, like, consumable.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, that's weird and also not grammatically correct, but I digress. You guys know what I mean. But it's really awesome to, like, kind of watch, like, that artwork, like, come together. And, like, there's different styles
Mhm.
of content. Not all content is for everybody, but it's something that, like, if
Mhm.
you want to go into content and go into cosplay and, like, go into stuff like that, like, my goodness, you're in the right space. And, like, you're, like, literally listening to the right conversation here too. So
Mhm.
how much time do you spend in a Marshalls or a TJ Maxx? I know everyone wants to know this one. Or you can also say, hey, that's not true, and call me out. I promise.
So I spend a lot of time at home, and Kira needs outside time.
Hmm.
Maxx, Marshalls, Home Goods is my outside. That's my outdoor time. That's
That'll
outside
be
of my
outdoor time.
enclosure time. So like I try at least once a day to at least go to the grocery store or something like that and go outside because I do think it's important because I spend so much time inside creating content on the internet to get off the internet and go out. So I spend a lot of time. Listen, they also have their Halloween stuff out right now.
They do. Party City. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm gonna dress up as to DreamHack, because it is Halloween and I'm gonna wear some type of
Mhm.
costume. And, like, I'm one of those type of people where, like, I'm just kind of excited. I want to do something interactive. So I don't know if I'm gonna
Mhm.
announce exactly what I'm gonna do, but I mean, I might go as, like, a 1990s toy which you can interact with, and it could be really cool.
I
I
love
have
that.
bear ears and I have white shirts, so I could be a doodle bear.
I love that.
I've
I
done it
love how
for
creative people get with costumes
it's
and like Halloween and everything.
are costumes cosplay, or is there a difference?
I believe if you put on a costume, you are cosplaying because the
Hmm.
cosplay means costume play. You are entering
True.
that sphere no matter what you're wearing. Um, Other cosplayers have different feelings, and that's fine. That's just my feeling. If you're wearing a costume, if you want to be, if you consider yourself cosplaying, you are cosplaying. If you are like, I'm just wearing a Halloween costume, I don't feel like I'm cosplaying, and you're using that negatively towards yourself, I do believe that you can like, that's not true. You are cosplaying. You are entering the costume play sphere of what we're doing. But if you are like, I just wear it on Halloween, I don't really consider myself a cosplayer, and it's not really something I'm interested in, then you can differentiate yourself that way. It's like a, but I think the term cosplay or costume play is a very open term to include everyone because I like to include everyone.
and and that's also, like, content in general. We love to include everyone, whether it be chat, or,
Mhm.
like, whether it just be, like, the people that come up to us or the people that we network with and talk to on a day-to-day basis. It's like, we're an inclusive community. We don't like to gatekeep, even though people think a lot of things are gate kept. But I think what the underlying reason behind that is people just don't ask or forget to ask. Because if you do ask, maybe you can get some tips of the trade. Because how open would you be to people just reaching out and being like, I have this cosplay idea. I want to be Dora the Explorer, and I want to do this specific thing, but what do you recommend? What would be a good idea? Like, would you be open to those styles of conversation?
I That's half of my day. I make free resources for the cosplay community where I'm like, my patterns, they might not be good, but they're free and they're online. And you can have them. And if you have questions, you can have them. Like, I'm an open resource. My stream yesterday with Gunner, because I do partner streams with them, I did a
Hmm.
whole stream where I just talked about how to pattern costumes because people, it's a difficult thing to learn and break down and understand. And I was like, what if I did a stream about it? Because I have a basic understanding and people can ask me questions. I like sharing my resources because I think together we make a better community when you just share and enjoy doing stuff. Like,
I can definitely agree with that, because, and it's the same thing with, like, technology stuff, or, like, content creation stuff. Like, these creator networks that we have that are out there, that you just gotta find them. Like, talk to the people, show that you're not just in it for the views, show that you're not just in it for
mhm,
the follows. It's like, show us that you're in it because it's something that you're passionate about. Like,
mhm,
for example, when I reached out to you randomly, This is just something that like I'm passionate about, something that I like to do because
Mhm.
I love to educate and put stuff out there. And like it's I didn't expect to reach out to you to discuss like different cosplay and you to even say yes. I just did it because like I'm doing all different styles of content inside of the PSP podcast, the Perks Meds Positivity podcast. And eventually I want it to be big enough where I can give back to the creators that join. Like I want to be able to do certain things for them and be able to be able to
Mhm.
help. That's a long-term stretch of a goal, but like we're all about spreading positivity. And like the stuff
Mhm.
that I see you do in a cosplay world is spreading that positivity, and that's why I thought you would be an absolutely perfect guest to have on.
I love
But
cosplay. I think the cosplay community has its issues,
mhm.
like any community. But at the end of the day, I am the first person to champion cosplay. I'm the first person to champion cosplay to different companies and communities that don't understand it, and I'm here to explain it to you and show you why it's beneficial and why it's a good thing and why you should celebrate it. Like
Absolutely.
it's a fantastic sphere of um both content creation and fandom. And I love it.
I mean, you even did so well with some of your cosplays that you were even in a drone show. And that was freaking cool.
Listen, that was just I don't understand.
That was so cool. I'm sorry, but that was one
I
of the
don't know
coolest
why.
things I've ever seen.
Here's the thing, I don't know why I was tagged in that tweet. I don't know. We
Really?
joked about the fact yeah, I don't know. Like,
Okay.
Zolototh was in that drone show, and some people said she looked a little bit like me, and I was like, "But I wasn't contacted about it, and I don't know why I'm in this tweet," because the people that were tagged in that tweet were me, one of the key artists at Blizzard, and, like, the person that put together the drone show, and I was so I'm, like, sitting there like, I know I signed my likeness to Blizzard a few times, and, like, if they used it, I don't care, but I'm also really confused why I'm tagged in this tweet from China. Like, I'm just
It's
sitting there like,
it's
"Huh."
so full disclosure, was that actually you or was that someone who looked like you? Because even if it was you, that's still badass. Even if it's someone who looks like you, that's also badass.
It was not. I didn't know anything about it until I got tagged in that tweet, and I was like, "What's that? I draw?" Of course, I joked because, like, if you looked at the whole drone show, because like that tweet only had a very small part. It showed the drone show opened with Sylvanas breaking open the sky from
Hmm.
Shadowlands, which is a big moment in World of Warcraft. And I was like joking,
Even
like,
I
yeah,
know
one of the
that.
drones you can see is Sylvanas like flying around. Like I was like joking about it. But I full disclosure, no clue. Not a clue. Nobody emailed me, nobody said it. I was like, all right, I mean, if you sure.
Well,
I don't know.
off the record, we're just gonna say that was you, even though like it probably was like them just showcasing Warcraft, but like that's so cool just in general. Like, and it also speaks measures to what you've done with your cosplays to be able to get to that close, like to the end to that
Nuts.
end product.
Nuts.
It's it's awesome. So, how has
Um,
cosplay and content helped you connect with people in the gaming and World of Warcraft community?
ah, it's kinda like that nice little common ground
Hmm.
where, you know, I was like, "Hey, wow, Twitter, I like World of Warcraft. I dress up as characters for funsies, tee hee ha-has, and I really like World of Warcraft. We can talk World of Warcraft together. And if you want me to dress you up in one of my costumes, I can do that, and we can tee hee ha-ha all day." You know, and it kind of
I
evolved
love
from
that.
that kind of thing.
I,
And
I
then I
I
got
love
more
that.
it was this interesting evolution over a few years of like I was like, well, I would like to talk to more people that like what I like. Hello. Hi. I have a hyperfixation niche interest, and it's my entire personality. Would talk some about the thing. And then it's evolved to this point that
And
I
that
don't
that
understand how I got here.
in like well, here's the thing about that is like, does anyone ever actually fully understand like the journey of how they got there? It's just kind of like all of a sudden you're there, and that's why like in the content creation, and I can only assume in the cosplay scene as well, imposter syndrome is such a big thing. Like, I didn't expect people who know to even know who I was. I didn't expect to go to conventions and people to be like, oh my god, it's Perk, I know you, or
Mhm.
like, but it's so cool to be able to see that. And like, I mean, I recognize you the moment I saw you in Atlanta, like I think it was like last year, and like it
Mhm.
was just really cool to see like your cosplays and stuff like that, because like you've been posting so much amazing things on social media, like, and I know nothing about World of Warcraft. Also, I'm feeding back somewhere, but it's fine. Actually know nothing about World of Warcraft, and I've
Mhm.
never done anything with Warcraft, but I definitely want to play. The last time I played Warcraft, I was at a LAN event, and it was just, and I was like 13 years old, and we went to like the little LAN house where we had to like
Mhm.
give them like $5 to play for 30 minutes.
What a good memory.
It was pretty cool, but I've never actually got into Warcraft, but that's definitely something I want to do.
Join the dark side.
Right. So, what has been your favorite cosplay moment? Is it online or is it at a con?
I mean, like my favorite moment in general, or do I prefer cosplaying online or in a convention?
I guess it's a favorite moment in general, but I just kind of am curious. What would be your favorite cosplay moment that you've had so far?
I think it was going to my first BlizzCon and getting invited to take pictures before doors opened, and I got to
Hmm.
see the World of Warcraft area completely quiet. I got to walk in my outfit and just take it all in. And really, I was like, this is everything I love, and this is a moment I get to have because I've loved this thing so much. Uh, and it felt very special to me, and it's something I hold near and dear to my heart because it's such a cool thing to experience and walk around and like see all the areas before anybody's in there and take some pictures and have some fun and like it was really really cool.
So, and honestly, like watching that type of stuff, and like, I sorry, I'm feeding back and I keep hearing myself. I'm not sure if it's Discord. Actually, it is Discord. Anyways, tech issues aside, because as streamers, we deal with tech issues every single day. Um, it is really cool to be able to get to a convention when before anybody is there, see the floor, talk to the people, and
Mhm.
like kind of figure out exactly what's going on, and just genuinely like that's a moment that when you finally experience it for the first time, it's something you never get back. Like back in my days of an audio engineer, where I used to go to concerts
Mhm.
before anybody was there and like help people set up and like work with the Zoom F8N Pro, and
Mhm.
like seeing the concert before it actually hit is just such a cool thing. Watching the
Mhm.
evolving of the stage, watching like everything just go from idea to reality. And I think that's what got me into streaming and content and podcasting, because seeing the idea turn into reality is so cool.
Mhm.
And definitely in cosplay you can see that too. So let's talk about um just what all goes into your different styles of cosplay. Like, I know that
Mhm.
you have a little figurine behind you that I know you're working on, and it looks really cool. Like, how do you create that stuff?
I don't know, I kind of blank out. No.
Don't we all though when
There's
we get into zone?
just, I blank out 4 hours later, it's there. That's just a process of you can saran wrap yourself or your mannequin here, you cover it in duct tape. I have an understanding of how patterning works, so I was able to, like, figure out where I want the seams on this breastplate to be, cut it out, transfer it to foam, put the foam together, then make a second pattern for the detailing on top because it's a raised pattern. Cut that out, put it on top, put the bevels on, make sure it's wearable, find out how it attaches because it rigs in a really weird way. Um, that's kind of then it would go into priming, like filling in gaps, priming, getting into perfecting, sanding any pieces that need to be sanded if I want to add, you know, battle damage or whatever. Prime it, airbrush it, seal it, wear it. It's, I guess, a good look.
And genuinely, like, that's really cool to like just kind of watch that process put together. Because like, what is one of the longest pieces of cosplay that you've had to put together? Like, what would you talk about being? Is it a specific prop? Is it a specific like chest plate, or like what would be that takes the cake for one of the most difficult things to put together?
Hmm. I think for me it's props, and that's why a lot of my props are 3D printed. Is I have a lot of difficulty with props. Um, so it's something I'll generally reach out to someone and ask if they can collaborate with me for 3D printing. And then I just have to, sand it, perfect it, put it together, paint it, LED it, and it's ready to go. Um, and for a long time, breastplates were really hard for me. I think there was just something there that wasn't connecting. And my brain just kept hitting a wall, and I was like, there's something here that's not connecting between A and B. So that took a little while for me to like figure out. And I guess like what takes the longest for me now is sewing, because it is something that I'm not as comfortable with. Um, and if I probably had more confidence with it, it would take a lot less time, but I overthink and overdo things just because I'm nervous. Wigs can also take a long time, but I really don't do wig styling. If I have to do wig styling, I'm miserable. Like,
I honestly, like, I look at that type of art and the stuff that you kind of put together. I could honestly never do that. But like, it's definitely something that, like, watching these styles and things come to life is just very cool. I agree with you though on the 3D printing of the props. Like I said, I'd have to go to my friend to have them 3D print something if I
mhm,
wanted to have like like a real Naruto headband, or like a
mhm.
real like just something to go through like that. It's just interesting. Is there a World of Warcraft like person that you just favorite mine outside of Sylvana, or is Sylvana just your go-to?
She's my favorite. I
She's
love
your
her very
favorite.
much. She and I have very similar life traumas and good and bad parts of her personality. She's kind of a
Mm-hmm.
character I clung to in a lot of really awful things that happened in my life. So she and I are kind of trauma bonded. Uh, and I just love her a lot. Like, I love a lot of World of Warcraft characters. Like, I love Nathanos Whitecollar, I love Lorthamar, I love Jaina. But Sylvanas is kind of like the she's been my favorite for years, so and it does not
Do,
help that I get the same stuff as her, so it just adds to the obsession and it never ends.
so what are some of those? So let's talk a little bit about Sylvana, because so some people in who don't know World of Warcraft may not know who Sylvana is. How would you
Mhm.
describe Sylvana?
Sylvanas is a really interesting, polarizing, morally gray, sometimes villainous, tragic character. She starts off as the Ranger General Silvermoon, which is her home. She is like their first line of defense, their warrior. She is the one that controls the armies. Is murdered and raised as an undead zombie basically and tortured for a while. Um and then goes and establishes her own people in her own kingdom full of other people that were murdered and brought back as zombies. I'm doing this in very general terms for people that don't know World of Warcraft.
Sure.
Um and kind of goes through her own journey of trying to figure out herself and the pieces of herself that are missing, the people that, Sylvanas goes from a very heroic character to a very morally gray or villainous character. And it's that journey of pain and suffering and trauma, um, but also trying to be a leader. Um, and it's this, uh, she was like a main sub character for a very long time until one expansion where she becomes war chief, which is like the main leader of one of the factions. And she starts on her journey of, um, I guess becoming a villain ish. Um, and trying to fix how the undead and like the land of the deceased, it's called the Shadowlands, how that all works, and people being separated when they're dead, and like trying to fix things, but also she's not incredibly there. There's a part of her soul that's fractured. Um So she does things in a more villainous way, in a not. So she's a very complicated character. She's a very polarizing character. People either love her or
Hmm.
they hate her, which is understandable for the things she has done. You know, the big thing that polarizes people on Sylvanas is Teldrassil. Teldrassil is a giant world tree where all the night elves lived, and she torched it. So she committed a big war crime. Um, and that is a very polarizing thing about her. Uh, in her eyes, she was fueling something else for a greater goal. To everyone else, she was committing a huge war crime, you know? And where her story is right now, she's in her like redemption arc of I did all these terrible things, my soul is now back together after some stuff, and we'll see where her journey leads in the new expansion, because we're getting hint hint nudge nudge that she is in the new expansion at some point and in some way, whether that is her returning or a flashback or who knows, but that's kind of where her story is.
It's honestly a really cool story because, like, in regards to like the trauma, like I feel like anybody who goes into content, can kind of see that can kind of see the trauma, and like, or they just kind of know about like they kind of have some trauma background. It kind of pushes them into like
Mhm.
an area like there's a whole like psychological like discussion that like people have when like people are going into content like that. They're like, why do people become introverts? I forget the philosophical study of like who was doing this when you talk about like introverts versus extroverts, and how like um
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of the people who kind of put themselves like back into their room or like become like super introverted have been kind of hurt in some way, shape, or form. I can't, don't quote me because I don't know if this is inherently true, and I forget like the actual like name of the study. I'd have to like chat GPT it if I wanted to know for sure. But like,
Mhm.
it's really cool to see that like the way people kind of like talk about their lore or their story, like to go into like content, and it's like you definitely can see that connection with specific characters, and I can like kind
Mhm.
of hear the passion like you have, like even when you're just talking about Sylvana.
Mhm.
But so
She's very I love her.
she seems really awesome. Like she seems like a chill person. Like I'd be friends with her. But
She's a badass. I Something I really enjoy, I think, and why I love Blizzard in general is their female characters. A lot
mhm.
of the time, I really enjoy how badass they are. And a lot of the time, they're the main character, which is something you really don't see in a lot of media. So I get to like run with that and enjoy that.
And like I feel like if somebody is gonna go into like content, they gotta find that person that inspires them and find that person that
Mhm.
creates that and allows that passion. And like I feel like that might inspire somebody's first cosplay.
Mm. Every cosplayer I feel like has their comfort character. They're like one
Mm-hmm.
that they're like, this is who I really enjoy and I cosplay the most and who it means a lot to me. I feel like it's a
Mm-hmm.
very common thing with cosplay. People outside of the cosplay community don't understand when cosplayers go, "OMG, it's me." They don't necessarily actually mean that. It is a I cosplay this character and I have a connection with them kind of thing. It's not a literal sense. It is a very cosplay oriented phrase that I have had people like side eye me on. I'm like, no, you don't. It's a cosplay thing. Like, if you cosplay, you'll understand that phrasing and what that actually means. Like, it's a
And it makes sense though. So interesting, kind of goofy question. Do you play D&D?
yes. I play a
You do?
ranger in D&D
Oh,
because
nice.
Sylvanas is also a ranger.
Dude, I love D&D, and like at some point I want to try to find like a group of content creators that would like be interested in getting into D&D or like doing like
Yeah.
an actual thing. I used to play D&D back when I was in like high school and like in early college, and then I kind of paused for
Mhm.
a while cuz I didn't really have a group. And then we did
Mhm.
D&D online, or like D&D 5.0 back like a couple years ago, and I had a
Mm.
group, and that was really fun. So the reason why I bring that up is a lot of people like to make the jokes. Do cosplayers all play D&D? I know it's a
I
goofy
feel like a
joke.
lot of us do. Like, I feel like a lot of us do though, because it's that we all kind of, if you know a cosplayer, they probably go to Ren Fair and they probably play D&D. Like
I love Ren
it's just
fairs, by
kind of
the
all
way.
in that like ecospace. You probably do. Not everyone, but if you have to make a bet with somebody to walk up to a cosplayer and be like, "You probably go to the Ren Fair," they're gonna be like, "Yeah, I do go to the Ren Fair." That fantastical fantasy RP, it scratches the same part of your brain that cosplaying does, so you kind of all do it.
I've been to a Ren fair like once, and like one of the goofiest things is like I just didn't know how to like really handle it because there were so many people like
Mhm.
dressed up. I literally went to the Ren fair. It was my first time ever going back in like 2018, and like I went to the Ren fair in shorts and a t-shirt because I didn't know have anything. And people and people called me like a noob. People are like, "This is an NPC," and I thought that was
Everybody's
really
gotta start
goofy and
somewhere,
fun.
though.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's gotta start somewhere. You gotta have your first experience. It's like going to your first convention and you don't dress up and you're like, "Actually, I wanna do that next time." Like, it's taking your first step.
It is, and like everybody has to start somewhere, and it goes like with everything, even back into like the whole field of content. It's like my first video, like making Call of Duty, was in set 420p. I am not even kidding. It was in 420p. It was awfully recorded, and it had a Naruto soundtrack where like you had two people kind of split up in from the gunfight, and I did Shadow Clone Jutsu, and it was recorded in 420p, and you can find that as one of the first videos back
Mhm.
on my YouTube. And to kind of see
Love that.
like the evolution from like your first video to like your current like
Mhm.
4K content, ultra storyline, goofy personality, like funny clips instead of just trying to be like the best trick shot sniper you could possibly be. And again,
Mhm.
I'm speaking Call of Duty because that's kind of like where my passion lies. But
Mhm.
it's just so cool to see. And like you're right, everybody starts somewhere. Like your
Mhm.
first cosplay could literally be you being Gandalf wearing a long wig and carrying a stick to a convention, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. No. I also think our culture has shunned cringe and we should embrace cringe. Cringe is fun.
Absolutely. Cringe is where the
Like,
content is.
yeah, you need to have
Like
fun. A lot of people have forgotten how fun works. You need to have fun.
that's huge. That is such a big thing. It's like everybody in the world of content is getting so focused on like, well, it has to be done this way. You have to use this hashtag. And Bear and I talked about
Mhm.
this last week or last podcast episode. You gotta live
Mhm.
your life, you gotta be yourself, and you gotta have fun. Like
Mhm.
cringe is amazing. Weird is now the new normal. Deal with it or don't. But
You're gonna have more fun if you just go for it.
absolutely. And so we've talked a little bit about the process of cosplay. We've talked about kind of like how like you feel in regards to like Sylvana being like your alter ego. I guess that's a good word for it, right? Alter ego. Gotcha. So, what advice would you give to somebody new who is makes content and they feel nervous about putting themselves out there? What advice would you give to that new creator?
It takes a lot of balls making any kind of content. It takes a lot of balls to even want to do it. I don't think people realize how hard it is and how scary it is to film yourself, walk on a stage, go somewhere, do something, put yourself outside of your own comfort zone. It's scary because people are really mean. Um, and you should be proud of yourself for, even if you just hit record and you talk to yourself for a little while and you're playing around with thinking about content creating, you should be proud of yourself even if you don't publish it. You experimented, you tried, you know? And I think you should publish it and or put it somewhere to mark part of your journey, right? Because it's I say it all the time. I'm like, cosplay in itself is a very scary thing to do. It's scary to put yourself on a stage for other people to look at you
Mm-hmm.
and perceive you in whatever form they're going to, you know? And at the end of the day, you gotta be happy with yourself and like enjoy. Because if you sit there and be like, wow, I really wish I did that. Wow, I really wish I had like streamed or I cosplayed or I did some kind of content creation or I had recorded this or done that. Worst case is you do it and you never publish it. Worst case is the content sits on your phone, but you did it. There's no guessing, there's no wondering, you know?
And I can agree with that like 110% because there is content that I would love to have turned into a video. There's things that I would have loved to do, but you can't regret the stuff that you've done in the past. Like I have a 4-part series of 4 back-to-back wins with somebody who randomly joined my team in Warzone, and I only published one of the 4 videos due to time. But like it's definitely so important to like go into like your event and like don't have regrets on it. Like put your best foot forward, and that really is what's gonna make you stand out. And like your passion and energy is gonna make you stand out. Your like if you are super passionate about your cosplay and you put together something and it's literally like a random t-shirt and shorts, but you are so happy and excited about it, and like you go out and you're like, yeah, I'm cosplaying Skeeter from Doug, like, and you're just wearing the shirts and shorts, you're doing a damn good job. And like it's awesome. Like sometimes the bare minimum is more than what other people view as the bare minimum.
I always tell people, especially in regards to cosplay, you may have a really incredible costume and you may win grand prize or whatever, or you may be the most impressive person in the building. People are gonna forget if you didn't have a good time. If you
True.
didn't make genuine interactions. You know, it's not about what you do, it's how you make people feel. Right? Is
Exactly.
I think the phrase. Because like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you can be the most impressive person in the room and be a jerk. Or you can be yourself and people will remember you for that. You know, it doesn't have to be a runway contest of you versus everyone else. It can just be a genuine passion and interaction.
And
Hopefully that
that's
makes sense.
oh, it 100% makes sense. It's so awesome to hear you say that because like I know a lot of people get so judgmental of themselves. Like in speaking of being judgmental, have you ever had a cosplay that just didn't turn out the way you planned, but you still found a way to just break the ice and make it work?
All the time. You know, cosplayers are probably your self-esteem is challenged every single day. There's many
Mm-hmm.
times I put on a costume and I'm like, wow, my face looks a little bloated today, or wow, I just don't look right, or wow, I really hate how this looks on me. And you just have to it's hard. It's hard. Like there's been times I take the costume off and I don't do anything. Or I can just suck it up and be like, I'm just gonna have fun then. You know, let's not worry about what I think I look like today. You know, is it
Do you have
worth sacrificing whatever I wanted to do?
do you have like a specific example of like maybe like you put something together or like your prop broke or like you had like a
Mm.
chest plate fall off? And I don't mean like I'm not trying to be
Mm,
like it was like a bad
yeah.
thing, but like you know what I'm getting at. It's like some type of malfunction here.
There was a time I cosplayed Sylvanas, and I was very new to body paint, and the body paint I live in Florida, and the body paint melted off, and it was frustrating. And I let that in like that whole situation make me miserable instead of just rolling with it and been like, you know what? Whatever. It's not the end of the world. You know?
And like I've seen, so I've actually had one of my friends do cosplay at an event. They made a sword, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they pull out the sword to like do like the little motion. I
Mm-hmm.
and it broke. The sword broke in half. But what the person did, it actually stood out and it was really cool. They used that broken sword and they still held it like straight up in the air and still did the same thing. Like it was, you know, like that sword, like the Thundercats, right? Like he was on Narf and he had the sword, and like so the Thundercat sword literally broke at the handle, but he
Mm-hmm.
held the handle up and my sword is still on the ground.
I love that.
But it's really cool to see like those types of things happen and like um in like still being able to go in like into that cosplay and like still being able to make something out of something that breaks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But so what it so do you feel like being part of the Warcraft community adds something special to content?
I think so. For me at least, because it's like my little home. You know, when I'm on social media, I'm home with like a bunch of people that all enjoy the same thing I do, and we can meme about it and we can laugh about it. New content stuff comes out and I meme about it and we all scream and laugh and have a good time. Or like when we have IRL events like BlizzCon or the PAX stuff, or we all see each other at a different event. It's like this nice little home,
Hmm.
right? It feels like family, it feels like home because it's all people that you share a common interest with. Maybe you don't like the same characters, you don't like the same things. Some of you PvP, some of you RP, some people just cosplay, some people just run around, some people only do mythic dungeons, but you all have this like commonality and you all enjoy being around each other because you have this common interest. So I think it adds this like little special sprinkle of magic.
And genuinely like having that is like really cool because like that sprinkle of magic just adds to like the ability within cosplay. So I'm gonna kind of wrap things up here in regards to that. So we're gonna do it the PSP podcast style way. So it's since this is the Perk Spreads Positivity Podcast, and that's literally what PSP stands for. What is one positive message that you'd like to leave for an aspiring cosplayer or an aspiring creator who's going to be chasing their passion? And what is something that you want to say that will help them on their builds?
You're gonna say social media and think cosplay is a runway contest. You're gonna look at builds that are these insane things that you can never even imagine of building yourself. And I want you to remind yourself that cosplay is costume play. You are playing to have fun. And whether your cosplay journey leads you to being a crafter, somebody that buys costumes, somebody that commissions costumes, somebody that just does the makeup or just puts on a wig, or maybe you just like being around cosplayers, there is no one right way to do it. Cosplay is a journey, and maybe you'll start here and end here. Maybe you'll learn different techniques and different things. You'll find what you're passionate about. It's not a out the gate kind of thing. You'll build to what you want to be. It's a process, just like any form of content creation. And as long as you're having fun, you will find other people who also are having fun. And that's kind of the whole goal. Just have fun with each other. Life is terrible and full of awful things. And this is our way of having escapism to go to these
Yes.
fantasy worlds that obviously mean something to us because they are escapism, right? And just embrace that and embrace the people around you and build each other up.
I can definitely agree 100%. And it goes back to what I tell everybody every time we have this podcast is like 95% of content creation, and this can 100% be related to cosplay as well, is introspection.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking into what you can do to make yourself better, and it's looking into make your product better, and like being able to kind of look back, see and listen to what you say, and also like not just what you say, what you do and how you create it, and like how to make things better. A lot of the stuff when it comes to content and cosplay is stuff that's behind the scenes that you guys will never see. Like the creation of the cosplay, the creation of the costume, the creation of the videos, the creation of the scenes in the streams, and putting everything together on Meld or Twitch or OBS and stuff like that. The stuff that we put together as content creators is such a unique and inspiring thing. And I've said it once and I'll say it again. Hit that live button, have fun, be passionate, and just and look into different avenues of what you could be. You may not be the best cosplayer, you also might not be the best COD player, but what you are is yourself, and nobody can take that from you. Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap today on the PSP Podcast. A huge thank you to Dark Lady Cosplay for coming through, sharing her journey, and spreading the absolutely amazing vibes with us. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you drop her a follow. You can follow her on her main platforms on Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, Twitter. Go show her some love. Like, seriously, we always love to support people. And if you guys don't follow her, please definitely do. And as always, I'm Percussive173. And this is the Perk Spreads Positivity Podcast. And remember to stay goofy, stay creative, and until next time, everybody.